To bring down the prices of all goods, we will stop the Biden-Harris war on American energy, and we will drill, baby, drill. That includes racing car. You know, that's good. You're going to spend a lot less money for your gasoline. You have that special stuff. I will terminate the Green New Scam, and I will end the Biden-Harris electric vehicle mandate on day one. And we already gave you the largest tax cuts in history, but we will pass massive tax cuts for workers, and that includes, remember, no tax on tips. No tax on tips. No tax on tips. To protect North Carolina workers, I will revoke China's most favored nation status. Think of it. They're most favored because they're a developing nation. Well, we're a developing nation, too, because we've gone to hell and back. We're a developing nation, too. They are considered a developing nation, so they get advantages that we don't get. Not going to happen. And I will pass the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act. That means that if China or any other country makes us pay a 100 or 200% tariff or tax, we will make them pay a reciprocal tariff or tax of 100 or 200% immediately, right back. It's basically you hurt us and we hurt you, an eye for an eye. Look at it any way you want. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after we, the people in this room, win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. We're going to get it settled quickly. I'll do it as president-elect. I'll do it. And I will be doing something that nobody else even talks about. We have never been so close. I will prevent World War III. We're heading to World War III. We're heading right into the teeth of it because we have stupid people representing us, and they're being represented against people that are at the top of their game. I will restore peace through strength, which is what we have. And in my next term, we will build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our country, a dome the likes of which nobody has ever seen before, and it will be entirely made in the USA. You know, Ronald Reagan wanted to do that, but honestly, it's a long time ago. We didn't have the technology. Now we have the greatest technology in the world. And in case there's a problem, we're going to be stopping them, but we're going to have the best in the world. It's all going to be made right here. I will not cut one penny from Social Security or Medicare, and I will not raise the retirement age. One day. I won't even raise it by one day. And, you know, she's talking about lifting the retirement age. She's going to have to, because they're putting a lot of the illegal aliens that are coming into our country. They're going into Social Security and Medicare. They're going into a hospital. We're not going to raise it one penny or one day. I kept that promise, remember, for 4 years. For 4 years, they said, oh, he's going to raise Social Security. No, for 4 years I didn't, and I won't do it. I'm the one that won't do it. And remember, I said something else. I'm going to keep you out of wars. I kept you out of wars. We had no wars with Donald Trump as your president. We defeated ISIS. We beat ISIS in 4 weeks as opposed to 5 years, which is we're supposed to take. Remember this, our military is great. They're not woke. The guys on top, the political guys, are woke. But they can't convince them. I saw ISIS dissolve before us once I put the military on it, once they had the commander-in-chief behind them. We have great generals, and there's not woke. They're not woke. They won't be woke. They can't be talked into being woke. They'd leave before that happens. But we have people on the top that are woke, and they're all gone. We're going to get rid of them so fast. We're going to rebuild our cities into beacons of hope, safety, and beauty better than they've ever been before. We'll have to work with Democrat governors and mayors in many cases, but we're going to rebuild our cities. They're crime-ridden, horribly run places right now. We're going to clean them up, and we're going to do something that's really good, and we're going to take our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. We're going to clean it up, renovate it. We're going to rebuild our capital city so that it is no longer a nightmare of murder and crime, but rather it will become the most beautiful capital anywhere in the world. We're going to take over the management, the leadership of it. Right now, you go from North Carolina, let's go and see the Washington Monument on the assumption that they don't change the name, which they want to. They want to change the Jefferson Memorial. Not going to happen. Remember when we were having a problem in Washington where they were trying to knock down some of our monuments, and I passed a bill. And the bill said, if you touch a monument, if we catch you even in the act, you go to jail for 10 years. And there's no 10 years equal 1 year. It's 10 years. You serve 10 years. And it was amazing. I looked outside the beautiful White House windows. I looked outside, and people were just leaving town. It was an incredible thing. I took old legislation that, frankly, you could never pass, very old, 1926, and I restored it, and I said, 10 years, if you take down that, and they were all getting ready. They had ropes around the necks of these gorgeous pieces of art. I said, you do that, you go into jail for 10 years, and they left those ropes hanging. They couldn't get out of town fast enough. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the shoulders of our children. And I will not give 1 penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate. And I will keep men out of women's sports, and I will fully uphold our great Second Amendment. We will protect innocent life, and we will restore very quickly free speech, and I will secure our elections. Finally, we're going to get them secured. Our goal will be one-day voting with paper ballots, proof of citizenship, and voter ID. But until then, Republicans must win. We want a landslide that's just, and it is really an expression that's used. It's very tough for them. Too big to rig. We're way ahead. We're way ahead. By more than even the polls say. We have to make it so big, Richard, that they can't do it. There's not a thing they're going to be able to do about it. So too big to win. You have to get out there and vote. Get everybody. Get everybody. Get them all. Remember this, it's a strange thing. Evangelicals, Christians, they don't vote very much. We got to vote. They got to vote. They're great. They're such great people. Gun owners, the NRA, you know, gave us their total endorsement. But gun owners don't vote. They tend not to vote. We have to get them to vote. If we could get the evangelicals, Christians, if we can get gun owners to vote, it's not even an election. But they got to get out, so get your people at church to vote, okay? If you want to save America, get your friends, get your family, get everyone you know and vote. Vote early, vote absentee, vote election day. I don't care how you vote. You got to get out. You got to vote. And make sure your vote counts. Follow your vote. Check your vote. Check it. You can do it. Check your vote, that they don't rob you of your vote. Such an important thing. And if you want to help ensure election integrity, sign up at protectthevote.com. Protectthevote.com. And watch those people. Make sure they don't cheat. And Michael's doing a great job, and you just watch him, Michael. From Asheville to Raleigh. And this is, I have to tell you, an incredible group of people. The spirit, the incredible spirit. We have so much to say, but in conclusion, from Asheville to Raleigh, from Greensboro to Greenville, from Wilmington to right here in Charlotte, this state was forged by some of the toughest men and some of the strongest women ever to walk the face of the earth. Our American ancestors were backcountry farmers and frontier settlers, woodsmen, craftsmen, workers and warriors who poured their love into this land, and they loved their families, and they wanted to take care of their families at all costs. They climbed the mountains, fought the battles, conquered the dangers, tamed the unknown wilderness, built the factories, and gave everything they had to make America into the greatest nation in the history of the world. But now we are a nation in decline. We are a nation in decline. Can you believe it? We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has lost its confidence, lost its willpower, and lost its strength. We are a nation that has quite simply lost its way. But we are not going to allow this horror to continue. Less than 4 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again. We'll be a great nation again. With our leadership, every disaster Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have created can be fixed, and can be fixed very quickly. Every problem can be solved, and every wrong can be rectified. By this time next year, America's borders will be strong, sealed, and secure. Inflation will be in full retreat. Our economy will be roaring back. Optimism will be surging. The American dream will be thriving again for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. Law and justice will reign all throughout our land. Freedom will be restored. The flame of liberty will be burning bright. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, the worst administration in the history of our country, will be a fading memory of the past. And our great silent majority, including the once forgotten men and women of our country, will be the ones shaping America's magnificent future when I am the 47th President of the United States. Because we are all Americans, and together we will show November 5th to be the most important day in the history of our country. There will never have been a more important day, because if we don't do the right thing, and if it doesn't work out, it's got to work out. If it doesn't work out, we won't have a country. We're going to have a great country again. We're going to have a great
My fellow Americans,
we are
I'm
one
speaking to you
movement,
tonight
one
from
people.
behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office. In this sacred space, I'm surrounded by portraits of extraordinary American presidents. Thomas Jefferson wrote the immortal words that guide this nation. George Washington, who showed us presidents are not kings. Abraham Lincoln, who implored us to reject malice. Franklin Roosevelt, who inspired us to reject fear. I revere this office, but I love my country more. It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president. But in the defense of democracy, which is at stake, I think is more important than any title. I draw strength and I find joy in working for the American people. But this sacred task of perfecting our union is not about me. It's about you, your families, your futures. It's about we, the people. We can never forget that. And I never have. I've made it clear that I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those rare moments in history when the decisions we make now will determine our fate of our nation and the world for decades to come. America's going to have to choose between moving forward or backward, between hope and hate, between unity and division. We have to decide, do we still believe in honesty, decency, respect, freedom, justice, and democracy? In this moment, we can see those we disagree with not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. Can we do that? Does character in public life still matter? I believe I know the answer to these questions because I know you, the American people. And I know this: we are a great nation because we are good people. When you elected me to this office, I promised to always level with you, to tell you the truth. And the truth, the sacred cause of this country, is larger than any one of us. And those of us who cherish that cause, cherish it so much, a cause of American democracy itself, must unite to protect it. You know, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. That's the best way to unite our nation. You know, there is a time and a place for long years of experience in public life. But there's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices, yes, younger voices. And that time and place is now. Over the next 6 months, I'll be focused on doing my job as president. That means I'll continue to lower costs for hardworking families, grow our economy. I'll keep defending our personal freedoms and our civil rights, from the right to vote to the right to choose. I'll keep calling out hate and extremism. Make it clear there is no place in America for political violence or any violence ever, period. I'm going to keep speaking out to protect our kids from gun violence, our planet from climate crisis that is the existential threat. And I will keep fighting for my cancer moonshot so we can end cancer as we know it, because we can do it. And I'm going to call for Supreme Court reform because this is critical to our democracy, Supreme Court reform. You know, I will keep working to ensure America remains strong and secure and the leader of the free world. I'm the first president in this century to report to the American people that the United States is not at war anywhere in the world. We'll keep rallying a coalition of proud nations to stop Putin from taking over Ukraine and doing more damage. We'll keep NATO stronger, and I'll make it more powerful and more united than any time in all of our history. I'll keep doing the same for our allies in the Pacific. You know, when I came to office, the conventional wisdom was that China would inevitably surpass the United States. That's not the case anymore. And I'm going to keep working to end the war in Gaza, bring home all the hostages, and bring peace and security to the Middle East and end this war. We're also working around the clock to bring home Americans being unjustly detained all around the world. You know, we've come so far since my inauguration. On that day, I told you, as I stood in that winter, we stood in a winter of peril and a winter of possibilities. Peril and possibilities. We were in the grip of the worst pandemic in the century. The worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. The worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. But we came together as Americans, and we got through it. We emerged stronger, more prosperous, and more secure. Today we have the strongest economy in the world, creating nearly 16 million new jobs, a record. Wages are up. Inflation continues to come down. The racial wealth gap is the lowest it's been in 20 years. We're literally rebuilding our entire nation, urban, suburban, rural, and tribal communities. Manufacturing has come back to America. We're leading the world again in chips and science and innovation. We finally beat Big Pharma after all these years to lower the cost of prescription drugs for seniors. And I'm going to keep fighting to make sure we lower the cost for everyone, not just seniors. More people have health care today in America than ever before. And I signed one of the most significant laws helping millions of veterans and their families who were exposed to toxic materials. You know, the most significant climate law ever in the history of the world. The first major gun safety law in 30 years. And today, the violent crime rate is at a 50-year low. We're also securing our border. Border crossings are lower today than when the previous administration left office. I've kept my commitment to appoint the first black woman to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. I also kept my commitment to have an administration that looks like America and be a president for all Americans. That's what I've done. I ran for president 4 years ago, because I believed and still do that the soul of America was at stake. The very nature of who we are was at stake. And that's still the case. America's an idea. An idea stronger than any army, bigger than any ocean, more powerful than any dictator or tyrant. It's the most powerful idea in the history of the world. That idea is that we hold these truths to be self-evident. We're all created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We've never fully lived up to it, to this sacred idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I do not believe the American people will walk away from it now. In just a few months, the American people will choose the course of America's future. I made my choice. I've made my views known. I would like to thank our great Vice President Kamala Harris. She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable. She's been an incredible partner to me and a leader for our country. Now the choice is up to you, the American people. When you make that choice, remember the words of Benjamin Franklin hanging on my wall here in the Oval Office, alongside the busts of Dr. King and Rosa Parks and Cesar Chavez. When Ben Franklin was asked, as he emerged from the convention going on, whether the founders have given America a monarchy or republic, Franklin's response was, a republic, if you can keep it. A republic, if you can keep it. Whether we keep our republic is now in your hands. My fellow Americans, it's been the privilege of my life to serve this nation for over 50 years. Nowhere else on earth could a kid with a stutter, from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claymont, Delaware, one day sit behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States. But here I am. That's what's so special about America. We're a nation of promise and possibilities, of dreamers and doers, of ordinary Americans doing extraordinary things. I've given my heart and my soul to our nation, like so many others. I've been blessed a million times in return with the love and support of the American people. I hope you have some idea how grateful I am to all of you. The great thing about America is here, kings and dictators do not rule, the people do. History is in your hands. The power is in your hands. The idea of America lies in your hands. You just have to keep faith, keep the faith. And remember who we are. We're the United States of America. And there's simply nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. So let's act together, preserve our democracy. God bless you all. And may God protect our troops. Thank you.
Wow. I don't usually interrupt these things, but I am a talk show host. Used to be. Concentrating on selling properties in Dominican Republic after I left my own country. Almost 3 years ago, when they said that I needed a vaccine pass to leave the country. And I said, no, I don't get the flu shot. I don't want the new shot. I don't get sick. Oh, sorry. I guess Trump's speech is over. Let's see if we can scroll back through it. I tried to lead in with it. So, I have a lot of friends and family in the great United States of America. And I'm worried. Obsessed with the politics of it, and genuinely worried about the direction of North America, Canada included. We have a president of the United States that is unable to speak properly, or walk confidently, or govern powerfully. We have a presidential candidate that they tried to kill already. And when I say they, everyone listening has already decided. What's the word I'm looking for? Who they are. Determined. That's the word. And there's still facts slowly coming out as we're faced to piece it all together ourselves, because the government agencies that have been weaponized by the current government won't tell us anything. I say us like I'm an American. I'm not. I'm a Canadian. Again, repeating myself, now living in the Dominican Republic, buying Dominican Republic on YouTube. I'm not broadcasting this on that channel because it's just real estate and walks on the beach and that kind of stuff. And it's summer. So I got a fan rolling in the background for additional background noise. If I had a OBS expert to help me with gates and filters, I would have canceling. But maybe my kid in Bangladesh can help me out. Hassan, are you listening? No, you're in bed. This is what I mean, Hassan. Sometimes I want to go live and I need a keyword generator and you're sleeping. So, shout out to my boy Hassan. Wherever you're watching this, I'll post Hassan's contact. He's my Bangladeshi kid. He's 24. Good family man, and there's a lot of shit going on in Bangladesh right now. They're killing lots of students. I should be careful of my words, I guess. Who knows what you can say and can't say on YouTube, especially. Twitter's I'm okay with. Twitter's X. So after leaving my own country, after running in 10 elections as a candidate, back in the day it was Green Party, before they went completely, utterly mad, it was the Green Party. Many times, people still call me Mr. Green. I voted for myself probably as many times as I voted for anyone else. Maybe more. Because I couldn't stand back and do nothing. And the first time was a nightmare in 1993. I got 295 boats. I got 290 by boats. And that wasn't the nightmare. The nightmare was not having a voice on my first debate when they put the mic to my mouth. It was like this. Even that is a little bit of vocal cord work. When you cough, you use your vocal cords. I tried to cough and it went like this. But I got good at it. So good that I remember the president of the Conservative Riding Association coming over to my mother at a debate saying, "Don't tell anyone I'm voting for this kid. He's the best one up there." He probably didn't, but it was a nice thing to say. So I got so good at it and built such a reputation that when I applied for the PPC to be their federal candidate, they declined me. Thanks to Max Bernier. He wasn't involved, but that office thought never did give me a reason, but opted for a friend of mine, a political neophyte, who did a good job. And then COVID. And then, I'm not stupid, but, I'm not, genius either. I'm genius in creative content, and I got some talent. I wouldn't say I'm highly intelligent, but I'm not stupid, and I saw it coming, the COVID. And they took my channel that I'm broadcasting now on YouTube for putting coronavirus in the title. Just hacked the whole channel. No 3 strikes, you're out, nothing. 5,000 subs, 1.5 million views a month. Gone in the middle of COVID. I can tell you the day. It was March 17th, 2020. And it was my sole income. I was making $1,500 a month off that channel. I built it on the backs of the likes of Don Cherry and clips from, Ricky Gervais at the Golden Globes and clips of Jennifer Aniston making googly eyes at Brad Pitt. And after the coronavirus, it was actually a Don Cherry podcast episode. And then the channel was gone. I saw it coming. But I didn't see that coming. Excuse me. Full of water tonight. But I saw the COVID coming. And I saw that the old and the obese were dying and the kids were fine. And the tests were inaccurate. And the symptoms were mild. And for a brief period in time, they had me convinced I was vulnerable because I'm a smoker. And then it turned out that smokers weren't disproportionately affected by COVID. It might have actually acted as some sort of prophylactic. Because smokers didn't take a beating by COVID. They didn't die in higher numbers than anyone else did. It was the old, the obese, and the kids were fine. I don't ever remember taking a flu shot. And that's not a vaccine either, right? I have a scar on my shoulder from taking a vaccine when I was a kid, not by my own choice, obviously. But what I was vaccinated against inoculated me from those diseases. Diseases? What was it? Mumps, rubella, and what was it called? I can't remember. It wasn't my thing. And I don't remember ever having a flu shot. I didn't believe in them, and I don't get sick. I get the common cold. I don't ever remember having the flu. So why take a shot that may or may not protect you against that specific strain of flu if you don't get sick? I saw it coming. And again, I'm no idiot, but it doesn't take a genius to figure it out. And then the mandates. And think of all the people that jumped on board with the mandates and the shot and sold that shot to you and lied to you and told you you couldn't get it. You couldn't transmit it. It would help you. And again, I got to be careful what I say. I'm wading into the deep waters when it comes to YouTube content because they constantly strike me for medical misinformation. I'm not giving any medical information here at all. They lied. People died. And it's an unbelievable travesty. So for those of you that came to see what's in the title, I started out with Trump. I tried to time it so that, because Trump's done now, and maybe I'll wind it back and play the whole thing in its entirety. Restream finally helped me with Twitter's technical support. Right now I'm broadcasting on 2 Twitter channels because I only had the Jim Fannin at Jim Fannin Live was the only account that used to be the Jim Fannin Show, was the only account that I could broadcast live on. So, of all people, after years of taking shots at Twitter support, technical support, and not getting any answers, this time within 10 minutes with Restream, they had it fixed. And now I'm able to broadcast live from my computer, OBS. I could always go live on my phone on this account at Jim Fannin. But so I'm on 2 Twitter accounts, at Jim Fannin Live and at Jim Fannin, which Elon gave back to me after the radical left-wing mob came and mass reported me and had me taken down for hate speech or whatever. Still waiting for Gavin McInnes to get his account back. He's like the only one that's not back. He came back with a new account, and that lasted a few months, and they shut that down. So, shout out to my boy. Proud of your boy. Hoorah! Hooroo! I don't even know how to say it. Hooroo! That's it. So I got my main account back on Twitter. That's why you're watching me live here. I see there's 124 of you right now on my main account. That's cool. I'll rewind this thing back and play Trump's speech from the beginning. He goes for an hour and a half or more. But I just figured after I watched Joe Biden stumble through another embarrassing speech, he's saying all the right things for his party, but he just cannot enunciate or speak clearly. It's hard not to feel sorry for the man. You know, there's a lot of, especially female DEI hires in the States that are in politics right now that I have a very hard time accepting as humans. I have evil thoughts about them because they're so corrupt, undeserving, entitled, and ignorant. Just dumb AF. And I don't feel that way about Joe Biden. I feel sorry for Joe Biden. It's elder abuse to keep putting him out there like that. He should resign the presidency. Put Kamala in. And for you political types in the United States right now, for your organizers and broadcasters on the conservative side of the political spectrum, do not take that cackling, you know what I was going to say, lightly, because I'm telling you, if the GOP and the Republicans haven't figured out how to stop election interference and mail-in ballots, then they'll never win another election again. I said that before. I guess it was after Trump lost last time. Lost, in air quotes. I'm worried about you, America. I hope you're okay. I'm addicted to politics. You know, as I mentioned, I'm in Sosua on the North Shore of beautiful Dominican Republic, and I cannot look away from North American politics. I know it's always been kind of an addiction for me since Trump. I really didn't pay attention to North American politics before him, and I just couldn't look away. And now I'm obsessed with it. And even though it doesn't affect my life, I am experiencing true freedom right here in the Dominican Republic. And I cannot look away from what's happening in the United States. Or Canada. So the last election was a trip for me and many of you. And I hope the GOP has got some good people in the war room. You know, the Steve Bannon type people, the Roger Stone type people. Because if they were anywhere near 2020, things would have been different. You had Pennsylvania changing their laws unconstitutionally changing their election laws before, very close to the last federal election. And I don't get it. I come from a land where you had a federal election commission. You know, the ballots are all printed by one place. They're all counted by one place ultimately, you know, done in little smaller districts and stuff like that. But at some level, there's some federal regulation. And I get the sovereignty issue in the states about the states, but can we not just have one the ballots come from at least a certified source, numbered, so we know that they're actually legit? So Canada, at least you got that going for yourself. That's cool. So I'm worried about you, America. I will be, now that I've got my streaming privileges here on the main account at Jim Fannin on Twitter, and although my YouTube channel will never make another dollar after being demonetized, after coming back, after being, canned for 3 years, I started other channels. TrueTube is out there. TREW Tube. It's got some old content. I used to do a lot more Jim Fannin Show content. I've gotten away from it a lot because it doesn't help me sell real estate down here, and nobody really cares about my political views. So I'm not broadcasting this on the Jim Fannin profile on Facebook because I stopped being political on Facebook a long time ago. Almost 2 years ago now, for whatever reason. And I'm still the toxic, angry, bitter, resigned, and cynical Jim Fannin on Twitter. So if you missed that, you may get a little piece more of it with more interviews, more live broadcasts right here at Jim Fannin on X. I've had some good peeps on at Zubion back in the day. Ashley St. Clair. I'm working on Gavin. He's my whale. Hope to get him soon. Josh Denny. All kinds of. Who's my boy from Canada I like so much? The Jewish guy. John. Oh, I wish he would tweet more. I'm a Jew and John. It's right on the tip of my tongue. He's done my show a couple times. John. Oh, I can't even think of the magazine he edits. John. Jon. Oh, it doesn't matter. Anyways, we had some decent interviews. I've scaled them back quite a bit. Had one of my favorites was Savannah Hernandez. We had her on a few years ago. I catch them when they're on their way up-ish, when they're still accessible to me, because once they get big, they don't want to talk to me anymore. What else am I working on? Oh shit! When the light's on here and it says stop streaming on your thing, you're live, your brain goes to mush. Had Lily Gaddis on a few weeks ago. So maybe we'll get back to doing a little bit more of the Jim Fannin Show. I got a lot to say, but I just got to a point where there's so many people doing it. So I concentrated on the interviews more, even though a lot of people are doing those as well. I really enjoy the interviews. I don't go with any scripted questions. I will have for G-Dog if I ever get Gav McInnes on. I'll have a little process I'll put him through, because that'll be my whale if I land that big. I was going to say, you know what? Big homo. Yeah. Matt Couch. Hope to have Matt Couch in the near future, wherever that means, going by his schedule. So, I should probably say, my name is Jim Fannin. I am the show host of the Jim Fannin Show. I'm doing this for AI when I do the transcript. Oh, I'm not recording this. No safety net. So, what's up on two accounts? TrueTube and at Jim Fannin on YouTube. 2 accounts on Twitter. Kick's up. Twitch is up. DLive is up. LinkedIn is up. Facebook is up. Twitter is up. Who else is up? You're all up. So I don't usually crash in. Oh, sometimes I do commentary on the broadcasts. In the comments, tell me where you're at. Especially interested in Twitter. I missed getting monetized by just probably about 800,000 impressions the other day. Had a couple good tweets, go big, got lucky. You know, I'm working my ass off trying to do good content, but still stuck at 11,000 or something like that. I had 11,000 3 years ago, and then they canceled my account. And when I got it back, when Elon gave it back to me, after goading him on the internet about not being his word, giving me my account back because I hadn't broken any laws, and Vox Populi, voice of the people, what up? Finally gave it back to me, but I was at 5,600 followers instead of 11,000. That sucked. So I don't know how, maybe it's taken, how long I've had it back now, maybe 2 years, not even. And it took me that long to get back to 11,000 again. And I get a little bit better traffic than I did when I had 5,000, but it's still, it's minuscule. For the content I'm putting out, I'm surprised that it's still as small as it is. I should have 80 to 100,000 followers for the content I'm putting out. But that's what happens when you're demonetized or you're canceled for a few years. And, well, I could do more work. Could do more broadcasts. So stay tuned. I'll let you know on the main account what we've got coming up for interviews. Oh, and if you want to see most of the interviews, you can go to @JimFannin_Live on Twitter. And I'll just try and do that while I got you right here. And I'll tell you who's been on. John, what was his name? John. Not Stewart. Okay, so who do we have up here for interviews? Oh, this has been all Trump speeches. And okay, so Lily was up. That was pretty good. Oh yeah, I got a lot of like news shows here. A lot of Dominican stuff. Josh Denny, of course. Rob Primo, what's up? You're a good... Oh, Rob Primo, we didn't talk any politics. Just talked about being a man. Marty up north. Marty Ballinger. Gord McGill, he was a great interview. I'll have him on again. Steve Bocut is Max Bernier, of course. Several times had Max on. So you can see all these. Mario Fama, one of my favorite realtors down here in Punta Cana. Well, he's 4 or 5 hours from me, but what else we got here? Oh, we had Lord Freedom on, Josh Bigger. We had a lot of real estate shows here you got to surf through. But if you go to @JimFannin_Live, you might be able to search Jim Fannin Show and maybe Dave Turner. Maybe you'll get more as I'm scrolling pretty slowly here. Andy Jean, local Dominican. Well, he's American, but he's selling real estate down here. So enough of them. So there's a pretty good history there. The biggest history of all my shows, if you're interested in just straight up interviews and Jim Fannin shows, is still on iTunes. I haven't uploaded a new episode there in a couple years, but I may get back to that as well as I bring back more broadcasting of the Jim Fannin show. So without further ado, maybe I'll come back later. What do I got tonight? I think I'm good. So let's rewind this to the beginning of Trump's walk-in. And this goes for over an hour and a half, I'm sure. Yeah, this looks like it's, an hour 36. So I'll give you a little piece of when a man that could actually articulate an idea and read a teleprompter looks like at a rally when he's not being shot. So let me see here if I can do this. I'll just turn my picture off here because I'm broadcasting in my I did put a shirt on. You're welcome for that, but I'm still in my underwear, and the shirt's going to come off as soon as I get off camera. So it's warm up in here in Sosua. What's the temperature right now? It's not hugely. No, it's only 81 tonight. Low is 75. It was 89 as a high today. 300 plus days of sunshine in Sosua. 300. The water's always warm in the ocean. The pool gets a little cool in December, January, but February it starts heating up. And now I went down for about an hour today. Didn't even go into the water. Just had a sweat session in the sun, and Now, that's pool is probably close to 90 degrees. So if you want, I got your hookup. Come and see me in Sosua.
Thank you, Richard's.
$500
He's one
a
hell of
month.
man.
I got
Thank
a
you,
nice
Richard.
little
Great honor to be
studio
introduced
apartment, fully furnished, air
by
conditioning,
you, and thank you
laundry.
to
It's all good.
a place
$500
called North
American,
Carolina.
of course. Peace, love, hug your neighbor, and I'm out.
And I have these incredible women from North Carolina right over there. And they've been to, I shouldn't tell you, 129 different rallies. Can you believe it? Look how great they look. And their husbands love them. I don't know how the husbands do this. They travel all over, and finally we have one in North Carolina, nice and easy. It's nice and easy for you. No, they're incredible people. 129 rallies, it's great. But it's really tremendous to be back in this beautiful state with thousands and thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots, which is what you are. This is a nice arena. How about the people outside that can't get in? That's a lot of people, too. Would anybody like to give up your seat? Would anybody? You're just not generous people. As you know, 3 days ago, we officially defeated the worst president in the history of our country, crooked Joe Biden. He quit because he was losing so badly in the polls. He was down in every single poll and down by a lot, so he quit. But really, what happened was the leaders of the Democrat Party, in a very undemocratic move, the bosses, they said, either you get out or we're going to throw you out using the 25th Amendment. That's what happened. You know that. So what? Well, you know that. That's what happens. That's what happens. These are nasty people, the Democrats, so we better beat them or we're not going to have a country left. You're not going to have a country left. So now we have a new victim to defeat. Lion Kamala Harris. Lion. L-Y-I-N apostrophe. The most incompetent and far-left vice president in American history. By the way, they did a poll. She was rated the worst vice president in history. I've never seen that poll before, but that's the poll. Together, we will win North Carolina in an epic landslide. We're way ahead in the polls. And we will take back that beautiful White House, and we will very simply make America great again. For 3.5 years, Lion Kamala Harris has been the ultra-liberal driving force behind every single Biden catastrophe. She is a radical left lunatic who will destroy our country. If she ever gets the chance to get into office, we're not going to let that happen. You know, I was supposed to be nice. They say something happened to me when I got shot. I became nice. And when you're dealing with these people, they're very dangerous people. When you're dealing with them, you can't be too nice. You really can't be. So if you don't mind, I'm not going to be nice. Is that okay? I'm not gonna. They want me to be nice. Thank you. Kamala Harris is the most liberal elected politician in American history. Did you know that? She's an ultra-liberal politician. She's absolutely terrible. She's, as you know, more liberal than Bernie Sanders. Can you believe it? She's rated far more liberal than Bernie Sanders. And she's now trying to get rid of her record, but she can't. She's going out and saying things that she doesn't believe in. If she ever got in, she'd destroy this country so fast. So she was the border czar, but she never went to the border, right? She was appointed by this horrible president, this horrible guy. how this guy got to be president in his basement. He stayed in his basement. And we did a lot better the second time than we did the first. How this guy got to be president, what they've done to this country in 3.5 years, and we're going to turn it around. But what they've done to our country is unthinkable. As border czar, Kamala threw open our borders and allowed 20 million illegal aliens to stampede into our country from all over the world. As vice president, she cast the tie-breaking votes that created the worst inflation in a half a century, decimating middle-class families and hurting very badly, as you know, all people in North Carolina. And by the way, Laura says hello. Laura, do we love Laura? How good is Laura? She is terrific. She has done a tremendous job. You know, I'm saying it now because if I forget it later on, they'll say he's cognitively challenged. I don't want to be cognitively, no, but I want to thank her because she's unbelievable. She loves it. I'll introduce Michael in a couple of minutes, but I want to remember to introduce Laura. She's been a fantastic daughter-in-law and wife to Eric. And she happened to name her one beautiful daughter, you know what? Carolina. Carolina. I said, which one? Which Carolina? She said, well, North, of course. No. Let's call them both. Do you mind if I call them both? They've both been great, frankly. And when Kamala Harris was sent to Europe to deter Russia, what a joke that was, from attacking Ukraine, how did that work out? Russia answered by launching the invasion just 5 days after she left. Putin laughed at her like she was nothing. She is nothing. She's so bad for us. Everything Kamala touches turns into a total disaster. She's destroyed San Francisco with her policies. Check out San Francisco. 20 years ago, it was the greatest city in our country. Today, it's not a livable city. She'll destroy our country if she's elected, so we won't let her be elected. We can't let that happen. Unbelievably, despite all of the damage she's caused, radical, liberal Kamala Harris now wants a promotion to deliver 4 more years of chaos. We've had the worst 4 years. You know, I say about Biden, if you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of our country, added them up, they won't have done the damage that crooked Joe Biden has done. But this November, the American people are going to tell her, no thanks, Kamala. You've done a terrible job. You've been terrible at everything you've done. You're ultra-liberal, and we don't want you here. We don't want you anywhere. Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired. And yet the fake news, which a month ago said she was incompetent, said she was a stiff, just a dopey stiff, the worst. Nobody talked to her. She was firing her staff left and right. The staff hates her. Oh, wait till you see the stories that are going to come out about her staff. Oh. If that were me, they'd be all over the place. But the fake news tries to cover her up. But wait till you see, she was the worst with the staff of anybody. But the fake news is talking about lying Kamala as if she's the savior of our country. That she's so brave. I've never seen a turnaround like this. 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, she was the worst politician in America. Now they say, isn't it amazing? Look at her. She's so beautiful. She's so magnificent. She has a crowd of 1,000 people the other day. And the fake news, and they worked hard to get that crowd. We have crowds of 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70,000 people. And the fake news said, oh, her crowd was amazing. It was amazing. You see it? The other day, she had maybe 1,000 people. I doubt it. They worked their asses off to get those people to go, and I wonder what they gave out. They said, oh, this is such a big crowd. She's got such momentum. I don't think she's going to have a lot of momentum after this speech, because I'm telling you about her, right? We're telling you the facts. I'm just giving you the facts. But they said it was such a big crowd, such a beautiful crowd. They never mention our crowds. Like this crowd. Look at this crowd. You can multiply her crowds times 20 and 30, and she wouldn't get what we get. 107,000 people recently in New Jersey. We might win New Jersey. We're up in New Jersey. 82,000 in South Carolina. 82,000. And by the way, we would have had a number here that would have been through the roof. But, you know, we are confined. As beautiful as this arena is, I just met the owner. He said it's an all-time record. Because, you know, they have basketball, hockey, but with basketball, hockey, you can't fill up the floors, right? So we set the all-time record, and he's a very nice gentleman, great family. But we set the all-time record. And if this thing were twice as large, it would be filled up with the people outside. 68,000 people in the great state of Alabama, 68,000. And then we did one in the South Bronx, and that can be a rough place. But we did one, and it was like a love fest. This was an amazing thing. We had 25,000 people in the South Bronx. Amazing. And if I ever had a crowd like Kamala, assuming she had 2,000 people, which I don't think she did. But if I ever had a crowd, they'd do headline stories. Trump is over. It's all over. It's not working for him anymore. They never mentioned the crowd. I tell those, look at all those cameras back there. Look. And I always say, but they never do it, turn the cameras around to show them the crowd, but they never do it. They never do it. They never want to do it. They just don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. I don't know why. Even the semi-friendly camera, they don't turn. You know, I used to think it was a physical thing with the camera. You know, the steel, you can't turn. And in 2015, it started right from the beginning, these big crowds. But now I have to tell you, there's more spirit now. We won in 2016. We did much better in 2020, but it was rigged. It was rigged. But this is bigger than 2020. This is bigger than 2016. And I think the reason is you like me a lot, but you know what you really like? When you look at the incompetent administration that we have with the inflation, with the Afghanistan, with all of the things they've done wrong, everything, the borders are. When you look at how bad they are, you say, you know, I like Trump, but now I really like Trump because we don't want to go back. Front row Joes. Front row Joes. You know, front row Joes, they've been to 201. I hate to tell you that, North Carolina. They've beat you 201. And they were to a rough one last week. That was a rough one. I saw them. They were sitting in the front row, and things were happening that weren't too nice, right? Amazing, right? But they were there, and they didn't move. You know, amazing. Nobody moved. When a bullet goes off, this is a freak thing, but a bullet goes off, crowds always run. They call it a stampede. Nobody ran. And we had 55,000 people. Nobody ran. You could see the small group we had behind. And no, you could see the group behind because the camera was on. We had tremendous, like hundreds of people from the press. We had cameras going on, and you could see behind me, they were like this. How about the guy right behind me in the black with the green hat? And he's looking like this. That guy I want to meet him. But they had a lot of guys like that back there. But did you see him? They've only played that clip about 5,000 times. They see it every day. It's over and over. But you see how brave. Normally when something like that happens, everybody but Richard will leave. Richard will stay. He's a tough cookie. But no, everybody scrambles. They run. Nobody ran. Same thing with the group out front. The group out front was the big group. Thousands and thousands of people. Nobody left. They just stood there watching because they saw that I was in trouble. Either I was in trouble or something was happening because I had a lot of blood on my hand. I checked out. I said, oh, gee, what's this? But no, they saw that. And when I went down, they saw that, and nobody left. It was like, the whole thing is like a big love fest, let's face it. It's a whole big love fest. It's amazing. We love you, man. We love you. We love you. We love you. That was a horrible thing. That was a rough thing. And say what you want, the Secret Service, the ones on the dais, these guys right here, the tough cookies, they ran. Bullets were flying. Bullets were flying, and they were running right at me. And it was a rough, horrible, horrible time. And they said, sir, we have a stretcher for you. I said, you're not putting me, I'm not getting on a stretcher. They had a stretcher. I said, that's not going to look very good if I get carried out on a stretcher. Hello, everybody. Thank you, everybody. They said, I'm not getting, where are my shoes? My shoes got knocked off. They tackled me so damn hard. But it was a terrible thing in so many ways. And as you know, we lost somebody who was fantastic. Corey, fantastic. His family is fantastic. And two other great people. These are great people. I got to know their families a little bit. And, the public has really been generous to them, too. They opened up their hearts to I won't even tell you, the numbers are so incredible. But they opened up their hearts to the three of them. And these two were hurt very badly, but they're both now in pretty good shape. They'll soon be in very good shape. So, But I just looked down here at Front Row Joe's, and it just reminded me of that incident a week and a half ago, right? You were right there watching it. You saw it. And you guys, by the way, weren't moving either. I saw you. You didn't move. You were just, they were standing just like they're standing right now. They were standing. They were, they're great. They're great. And sad, such a distressed, sick world. But, it could be caused when they call you a threat to democracy. You never know what causes it. I'm a threat to they're a threat to democracy. They're a threat to our country, period. But that was some time we had. That was some rough time. But it was incredible. The people I got to know through that. I got to know some unbelievable and really brave people. But the next time they show that clip, which will be as soon as you get home, they'll show it about 30 times. They show it every day over and over. But watch the people behind. They always stampede. If a bullet goes off or something happens at a soccer stadium or a stadium, and we had more people than most of those stadiums would have, everyone runs. Nobody ran. They stayed, and you have to look. The one guy, he just was so angry. He's looking. I gotta meet him. There's something about brave people that I love, right? People that love our country. He's out there. He's like up there. No, they're great. They're great people. And we had a great convention. We had a convention that broke all television ratings. How good was the Hulkster, right? Oh. And Kid Rock called. He wanted to be a part. He was fantastic. But they were all fantastic. It was the greatest. It was just a flawless convention. It was great. And the television ratings were record-setting ratings. You all read that. They were record-setting ratings, and it was just an honor. The stadium was beautiful. Milwaukee was beautiful. Wisconsin's promised me they're all going to vote for me now because we put $250 million into their economy. So we're going to win the great state of Wisconsin. But Milwaukee was great. They did a great job. The stadium is new. They built it for the basketball team, which is excellent. You know the Greek, right? The Greek. He's a good player, but they built it for the team, and it was like new. And it was one of the most, I think it was the greatest, I really believe it. It couldn't have been better. It was the greatest convention that anyone's seen thus far, Republican or Democrat. But getting back to a subject called Kamala, who's the worst? You know, I ask you this question because this has never happened before. So Biden's running. I wouldn't say his debate performance was one of the best, right? Do you agree? That's where it all started, with the debate. The downfall started that night with the debate. The debate was like, that was a rough debate. He said, "Y'all had a bad night." No, he had a bad night. He had a bad everything. He had a very bad night. But it started really with the debate. It was all, you know, the game was up. They say the jig was up, and it was indeed up. But it started with that, and then it only got worse. And we were leading him by 11, 12, 14, 15 points. And then he decides to get out because the bosses said, "We're not going to have you." He didn't want to get out, but they told him, "You're getting out." They said, "You're getting out. You're getting killed in the polls. You can't win." You saw that. You can't win. You're getting killed. So now they bring in this one who's worse than him. She's worse than him because he's a fake liberal. You know, he wasn't that liberal. He was fake. She's a real liberal. She really is a real liberal. She's much worse than him. Now, if we start beating her in the polls by 10 or 15 points, are they going to bring in a third candidate? It's like, you know, Trump is killing this guy. All right, out. Let's bring in a new one. Out, out. And then maybe at some point they get one right, but when will that stop? And you know, the guy had 14 million votes. So much for democracy. You know, they talk about democracy. He had 14 million votes, and they said, "We're going to give it to somebody with no votes." She had no votes. In addition to her horrendous record as vice president, Kamala Harris has also been caught red-handed perpetrating the biggest scandal in American political history. For 3.5 years, Harris shamelessly lied to the public to cover up Joe Biden's mental unfitness, claiming that Crooked Joe was at the absolute top of his game. I don't think so. I don't think so. I wish him well, but I don't like him. He's not a nice person. I mean, he's not a nice person. He's trying to put me in jail. Why would I like him, right? That's the first time. Oh, first time. And she's the one behind it. And she's got a new line, you know. She's going, "I'm the prosecutor." She's one of the worst prosecutors in history. She destroyed San Francisco. "I'm the prosecutor, and he's the convicted felon," or something. A radical left judge in an area where every one of these cases, every one of them is brought by them. So think of it. They get me to that position, and then their campaign says, "I'm the prosecutor, and he is the convicted felon." That's their campaign. I don't think people are going to buy it. And we won our big case. You know, we won the case in Florida. That was a big one. We won that one. And I got out by beating their Justice Department. And he got out of the same case, except his was far different because he had 50 years of documents, right? He got out by being incompetent. The prosecutor said he had no memory. He basically said he's incompetent, so he shouldn't stand trial. Can you imagine? He can be president, but he can't stand trial. What's that about? But it was all headed up by her because she's a prosecutor, a really bad one. If Kamala will lie to you so brazenly about Joe Biden's mental incapacity, then she will lie to you about anything. She can never, ever be trusted. She can't be trusted. And just like crooked Joe Biden, Kamala Harris is unfit to lead. She's unfit to lead. She'll destroy our country. In a year, this country will be destroyed. A vote for Kamala is a vote for 4 more years of dishonesty, incompetence, weakness, and failure. Other than that, she's doing an excellent job. A vote for Trump Vance. How do you like? How do you like him? J.D. Vance. How do you like him? A vote for Trump Vance administration is a vote to restore leadership, competence, common sense, and strength back to the Oval Office like we had it just 3.5 years ago. If Kamala Harris gets in, she would be the most radical far-left extremist ever to occupy the White House times 10. There's never been a lunatic like this in the White House, and we've had some bad ones. But the worst one is Joe, actually. As a senator, Harris was ranked the #1 most left-wing Democrat in the Senate. Think of that. She's ranked the #1. And that's not what this country wants. She makes Bernie look like a moderate. You know, he looks like Bernie Sanders. He's actually quite moderate by comparison. Here's just some of her crazy liberal record. Kamala Harris co-sponsored Bernie Sanders' $32 trillion plan for a socialist takeover of the entire U.S. health system, which will be a disaster and will bankrupt Medicare and Social Security. They're gone. And remember, Social Security is going to be gone anywhere if we're not elected, because they're putting all of these millions of people that are pouring into our country, they're putting them into Social Security, Medicare, schools, hospitals. And we all have a big heart, but some of those people are tough, from prisons, from mental institutions, terrorists. When asked if her plan would outlaw private health insurance for 180 million Americans, Kamala replied, "Let's just eliminate all of it." That's all she said. We'll eliminate all. That's nice. Thank you very much, Kamala. She endorsed free taxpayer-funded government health care for all illegal aliens, everybody that walks into our country that's illegal. This is why they come. When these stupid people, they're stupid, low IQ people, when they say, we're going to give you health care, we're going to give you everything, they come. You're not going to say, we're going to give you all of these things. They're going to come, even if they're fine in their country. And people are being killed in the caravans, especially women. They're dying on the way up. It's horrible. It's horrible. You have to see the real numbers. She co-sponsored the $100 trillion Green New scam with the goal of completely abolishing the oil, coal, and natural gas industries, which would reduce the United States to a third world country. No more oil, no more gasoline. Good luck with your electric car that goes for about 45 minutes before you have to get it. Do you know someplace like in the Midwest, did you see? They built 8 chargers. You know, a charge, that's sort of like the equivalent of a gas pump. They built 8 chargers for $9 billion, and 2 of them don't work. That's a big problem. And if we were going to charge up the entire country for the electric car, if we were going to charge up, it would cost $5 trillion. That's more money than we would have. We would have to file for bankruptcy. And they don't care. They say, let's do it anyway. She said that a 70 to 80% tax hike is, quote, a bold idea that should be discussed. She wants it 80%. You know, I gave you the largest tax cuts in history. She wants to take them away and increase your taxes. I don't think you're going to be too happy. Kamala publicly boasted, quote, "There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." She wants no fracking. Now, that pertains to Pennsylvania, Texas. It pertains to Oklahoma. It pertains to a lot of other places, more so than you, but it pertains to you where your wallet, because you're going to be paying a lot of money. You're going to be paying so much. You're going to say, bring back Trump, please, please, please bring back Trump. We want Trump. We want some common sense, please. She supports mandatory gun confiscation to rip firearms out of the hands of millions of law-abiding gun owners. She wants to take away your Second Amendment, which we need. Lion Kamala is also a total radical on a word called, do you know this, right? A word called what? Abortion. She's a radical crazy person when you compare my position on abortion to that of Kamala Harris. My position is 8 points higher in the polls, and that's because she is so radical. She wants abortions in the 8th and 9th month of pregnancy. That's fine with her, right up until birth, and even after birth, the execution of a baby, because that's not abortion, that's the execution of a baby. You remember the governor, you remember the former governor. The current governor is excellent. The former governor of Virginia, he said, yes, we may have the baby, and then we decide with the mother what to do with the baby. This is after the baby is born now. She supports that. She supports taxpayer funds to pay for abortion for any reason whatsoever. She even voted against legislation that would require medical providers to give care to babies born alive after an attempted abortion. Think of that one. Whereas our position is that abortion is now back to the states. You know, for 52 years, they've wanted to bring, it's Roe v. Wade. They wanted to bring it back to the states. It wasn't about how many weeks and how many, everybody wanted it. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberals, conservatives, they wanted it brought back to the states. And because we had a very brave 6 people on the Supreme Court of the United States, so they were very brave. After 52 years, they allowed it, but everybody wanted it. And they were brave to do it, and now it's up to the will of the people in each state, and it's happening in Ohio. They voted, and frankly, it came out to be more of a liberal policy, but they voted, and it's getting back. In Kansas, you saw what happened there. Somewhat of a liberal policy. Texas goes, and Alabama goes, and other states, but it's all being voted on by the states. It's back in the hands of the people, and the state returns the age-old question to where it belongs, and it belongs with the people, and it belongs over time, and you see what's happening, and you see how it's working out. Like Ronald Reagan, very importantly, I happen to support. You have to go with your heart, but I happen to support the 3 exceptions: rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think that's the way. But follow your heart. But you also have to remember, you have to get elected. You have to remember, because we have elections, and elections are about a lot of other things, too, that are very important. But you have to get elected. But Ronald Reagan was for that. I was for that, the 3 exceptions. And as Vice President, Kamala Harris cast the tie-breaking vote to cut, as you know, Medicare by $273 billion. She cast a vote to cut Medicare. Nobody knows that. She doesn't want people to know that. Now what she's doing is she's running away from Israel. She refuses to go to Bibi Netanyahu is in Washington. She refuses to go there. Even if you're against Israel or you're against the Jewish people, show up and listen to the concept. But she's totally against the Jewish people. And it amazes me how Jewish people will vote for the Democrats when they're being treated so disrespectfully and badly. It amazes me. It's shocking. I don't get it. I don't get it. Kamala even wants to pass laws to outlaw red meat to stop climate change, and she is... You know what that means? That means no more cows. You know, this is serious. No, this means no more cows. I guess eventually she's going to mean no more people, right? No more people. So if you want socialist health care, nation-wrecking inflation, the death of American energy, and a lying radical left liberal San Francisco extremist as your commander-in-chief, then Kamala Harris is your candidate. She's the one for you. Just like she destroyed San Francisco, she will destroy our entire country. And let me tell you, it's in pretty bad shape right now anyway. What they've done in 3.5 years, especially, I mean, think of Afghanistan, the most embarrassing moment, day in the history of our country. We got out of weakness. We were going to get out, but we were going to get out of strength and dignity. We were going to get out. They left, you know, $85 billion worth of brand new equipment, brand new, beautiful military equipment. I rebuilt the military. They got equipment that I bought, and they left it in Afghanistan. And you know that Afghanistan now, the Taliban, Afghanistan is the second or third largest seller of military equipment in the world. They're taking this gorgeous stuff and they're selling it, and they're making a fortune because they don't need 700,000 rifles and guns. They don't need 77,000 trucks and cars. Many of them are built with all steel bottoms. They're all guarded up for the horrible bombs that they had to endure. They're all very expensive. These are very expensive things, and they're selling them now because they just need a tiny fraction of what they were left. We were going to take it all out. We were going to keep Bagram, the big air base. We had 13 soldiers killed. We had 47 soldiers horribly, horribly hurt. No legs, no arms. Nobody ever talks about them. They talk about the 13 dead. They never talk about the 47 that have been so horribly hurt. I mean, just, it's so bad, it's so horrible to see. But 47 is an important number. Maybe there's something to it, you know? 47, that's an important number. And basically, she's a very bad person, and she shouldn't be running for president. She is a threat to democracy, a true threat to democracy. She'll destroy our nation. But if you want no inflation, low gas prices, how about $1.87? And we had it actually lower than that. If you want energy independence and even now energy dominance, we're going to be dominant. You know, you have to see the chart. And my favorite chart of all, of course, some of you would understand what I mean, was the immigration chart. Because I looked over and I said, look at that chart. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? It's my all-time favorite chart. Man, am I lucky to show that chart? I said, let me see that chart. Let me see that chart. Pull it down. That wasn't good. That's my all-time favorite chart. It showed how great we did on immigration. My last week in office, we had the lowest number of illegal aliens that we ever had coming across our border. I was very proud of the chart. You see it go like this, and then it goes like a skyrocket. But forget that. I like it for other reasons, too. I will sleep with that chart for the rest of my life. But if you want the greatest economy in history again, and freedom, if you want freedom, real freedom, because we're going in a very bad direction, then you must vote for a gentleman named, perhaps you've heard of him, Donald J. Trump. Perhaps you've heard of him. Gotta get out there. Kamala Harris's California socialism would kill the American dream forever. You know, you don't hear about the American dream anymore. We're going to bring back the American dream for our children. Under Trump-Vance administration, and he's terrific. By the way, he's been incredible. You know, he wrote the great book on workers, about how workers were being horribly taken advantage of. Became a movie, big best-selling book, became a great movie, actually. And he's a great guy. Went to Yale Law School without any connections because his father passed away and his mother had some difficulty. And you get into Yale without any connections, that's pretty good. And he was a great student. Then he met his beautiful wife at Yale, two smart people. It's really an amazing story. Amazing. Became a senator from the great state of Ohio. Ohio loves him. So he's exactly what we want. And he's a very common sense guy. But we'll bring back that American dream bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Bigger, better, and stronger. And remember, there's no issue on which Kamala has been more unhinged than her wild pursuit of open borders. She's crazy. She's crazy. who could want open borders? Who could want that? It's like, who could ever want men playing in women's sports in a much smaller way? Did you see a beautiful woman volleyball player 2 weeks ago got badly hurt? I didn't know you could get hurt in volleyball, but when the ball comes back at you at 140 miles an hour, I guess that can hurt. Got knocked out. But playing with a man who transitioned. And she was a top player. She said, I've never seen a ball come at me like that. I played volleyball for a long time since I'm a little girl. I've never seen a ball, Richard, she said, I've never seen a ball come. What about race car drivers? Do you want to have a couple of transitioned race car drivers? Maybe that's okay. Actually, that could work. That could work. I have a good one for you I'd like to recommend. That could work, maybe. But she said, I've never seen a ball come. Or the weightlifting records. You see what's happening there? For 18 years, they had a record. 18 years. A quarter of an ounce and a quarter of an ounce on the barbells, right? A quarter of an ounce. Little tiny thing. And she goes, Olympic tryouts. Mom and Dad are in the front. And I hate to do it. You know, my wife says it's so unprecedented when you do that. Can you believe it? So I'm embarrassed. I used to give it a big push, but now I'm embarrassed. You know, I know I'm embarrassed to do it. She said, darling, your speech was wonderful, but please do stop with the weightlifting and the swimming. It's so unprecedented. You know, she's a class act. But I said, but people like it. People like it. She looked good 2 weeks ago coming into that arena, right? Melania. She's a class act. Yeah, turn off your cameras for a second, okay? Boy, that's a lot of cameras. Man. No, they get it up and they can't quite do it. Oh. Mom, I'm sorry, Mom. And a guy comes out for the tryouts. He comes out. Have you lifted before? No, I haven't really tried it. Oh. Well, give it a shot. Bing, bong. Right? How crazy is it? Or the swimmers, the All-American swimmer. She's getting ready. She's going to break the record. It stood for 12 years. And she's beautiful, beautiful, strong. And she looks left and she sees all the girls she's grown up with. Because as Richard will tell you, those great, talented people, like Richard wanted to drive race cars more than anything else. But he didn't quite have the courage to put that pedal to the floor like a couple of your competitors that we know so well, right? So instead he said, hell, I'm going to own the cars and I'm going to make a lot of money. This is too much for me, right? He had Dale Earnhardt. These guys were going around the track and Richard's driving. He said, I don't know. I can't do that. I understand. That's the way it is. But he became the best at what he did. And some others, too, that I know that are friends. It's a great, by the way, that's a great sport. That whole thing is great. How you do it is amazing. It's so amazing. We should send you into, I've always said, get some of these guys. I have a lot of friends in that world. I don't know. I think, is it Roger Penske, like a great guy, too? He won 20 Indianapolis 500s. This guy wins all the time. I mean, we appreciate talent. I said, let me use these guys to guide our military a little bit. When you can win so many races, that's okay, you know? You guide. Same thing with coaches. You take some of the greatest football coaches, you put them at a table. What do you like, coach? Because in its own way, it's not so much really different. But it's been sort of amazing. But she looks over left and she sees, and then she looks over right and she sees a lot of the young ladies that she grew up with, girls. They're girls, and now they're mature women. They want to break this record. They want to qualify for the Olympics. And then right next to her is this giant. He's got the wingspan of Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain. You know Wilt the Stilt, 7'2", the longest arms ever recorded. And she looks and she goes, oh, who is this? Oh, he transitioned. And he's in the swimming contest. He's in the meet. And this meet is a big deal. and she's a little nervous, but she's going to break that record. And they say, on your mark, set, go. And she goes and she goes and she goes, but she got, as you know, very badly injured, right? You know what it was? Wind burn. She got burned by the wind. He went so fast by her, she suffered massive wind burn. We had to take her out of the pool. Massive wind burn. No, it's so crazy. Men playing in women's sports. It's demeaning. Who could want this? Who could want open borders? Who could want high taxes? Who could want high taxes? Who wants this? They have so many things. You know, we're the party of common sense because we're conservative with it, but we're the party of common sense. And we have to get back to common sense. Lion Kamala supported abolishing ICE. She compared ICE agents to members of the KKK. Can you believe it? It's so disrespectful. And these guys, these people are great. I've seen them, and I've seen tapes of them, and they go into a pack of MS-13 killers out on Long Island, and they walk into that pack, and all you see is fists are flying left and right. 2 minutes later, they walk out, and they've got them by the legs, and they throw them into a paddy wagon, and we take them the hell out of our country. And she wants to get rid of them. Kamala voted in favor of deadly sanctuary